Hello, and we're back in Kerbal Origin. Right, so I've done a little bit of save file editing, and as you can see, we now have the uranium tetrafluoride split between all the reactors. Because before, it all went into one. So yeah, I just went into the save file and split it between the three, which I think was perfectly fair. Shall we be a... yeah, we're a ship, aren't we? We're not a base or... well, we technically are a lander, but we're also a ship more than we are a lander, so we're going to go ship. Look at that float away. It's looking pretty, isn't it? No. Anyway, we want to set up a node for a transfer to Eeloo, because we haven't started our reactors up yet. And I think if we just wait until the transfer to Eeloo, or just beforehand, then we can land, and then immediately take off and go to Eeloo. And we can just start our reactors for that, rather than have to, you know, turn them on, shut them down, etc. Yeah, that's a decent margin. Just a little while. There we go, 24 hours. And speed up again. Much time acceleration. Yeah, maybe if you're epileptic, this isn't the best thing to watch right now. But anyway, we've done, so it's fine. Now, Dres has, you know, a fairly low gravity, so it's going to be fairly easy just to whack it down and land on the surface. The issue is if we land crooked or anything on a slope, because Dres is a bit well, not mountainous, just very hilly. Anyway, let's turn all these reactors on. Come on, Jeb, get the reactor, get the reactor. Squish your face against it. It's in the handbook for how to operate a nuclear reactor. There we go. And last one. The last one's really annoying. There we go. That was fairly easy, actually. Ooh, let's prepare these landing legs over here. It looks like that landing all, you know, 400 tons or 450 tons does damage the central landing legs slightly. So... they're at least not destroyed. I mean, we can just pop them out again with a little bit of, you know, Jeb maintenance. So we're going to go back and get Jeb back in. Now, next thing in the tree we're going to be unlocking straight away is fusion drives. Well, not fusion drives, sorry, fusion reactors. Fusion reactors... no, it's not. We've got fusion reactors. They're just really small. It's antimatter reactors. Yeah. So antimatter reactors. But we have to collect the antimatter. We don't just get it to start off with. So we'll need to somehow find a place to get the antimatter and so on. I believe that, you know, you need a decent magnetic field for that, so we're talking Kerbin is okay, but I'm guessing Joule is probably the best one. Let's accelerate a little bit, and we're going to be heading to the surface now. I don't know why it's not pointing straight at the node, but we'll just fire up the engine, and we're going straight down. It's fairly easy to just, you know, just burn retrograde until we're falling straight down, although I think maybe we're falling straight down a bit more than I'd like, so we'll just adjust that, and cause I don't want to be landing on the dark side, I actually want to be able to see where I'm landing. So let's grab a little bit of science, which is all good. That should be high over. Then we just need to do near, and then, yeah, this is our near, and then we need to do a landed. Or is this near? This might be still high, I'm not sure. Anyway, coming in for landing, doing our retro burn, doing a little bit more burn there. I just want to be able to get the horizontal speed particularly low, because if we land on a slope, the horizontal speed may make us topple over, and we are fairly top heavy. I mean, we're not as bad as the last one was, we're a lot better than that, in fact, a lot better. And I'm trying to land in this crater because I'm guessing the bottom of the crater is nice and flat. So fiddling around with our orientation to try and, you know, make sure we have no horizontal velocity, and it looks like we're coming in on a fairly flat area, although it's very hard to see. So yeah, let's talk about the fusion reactors. I don't know why there aren't large fusion reactors, because fusion reactors are kind of fun. Why can't you have a large one in this? You can only have two sizes apparently at the moment in this mod, which is, you know, disappointing. I was hoping for like massive fusion reactors, but oh well. Okay, we're coming in now. We're coming in. We're coming in. Wait a minute. That looks a lot more slopey. That looks very slopey. Ooh, that's fairly slopey. Yes, that is very slopey. Let's... not that way, the other way. We need to go the other way. Not up the slope. We want to go down the slope. Whoa! Whoa! Oh crap, we've turned over a lot. It's because we're running at like, we're running about 4 times speed maybe right now. When I was playing the game though, of course, I was running at half speed, and maybe overdid the reaction wheel when I saw nothing was happening, which of course it was just happening very slowly, so we end up doing a few more maneuvers that are a little bit more violent than I'd have liked, put it that way. So yeah, we're moving over here to try and find a little bit of a softer landing spot, but actually looking at this crater, it doesn't look like there's actually a flat area in the bottom, or at least very little of one. It looks like it's 2 slopes that meet. So we're just going to try and find maybe the least slopey slope. And then just hope we don't fall over. So yeah, fusion reactors are absolutely great because you just take, you know, two fairly boring elements, isotopes of hydrogen, and you fuse them together to make helium, which, you know, isn't reactive. However, you do get neutron radiation given off, and neutron radiation induces radiation. Ooh, ooh, here we go. Here we go. We're going to land. Oh, this is a lot more slopey than I thought. Ooh. Ooh. Oh. Oh, should I take off again? Oh. Oh. Go. So. Oh, I think we're okay. Yes, we are okay. Wow. That thing tipped a lot. I think that's a safe landing point. Bloody hell. It tipped so much then. So yeah. Fusion reactors are great because there's, you know, less radiation given off and so on. And you don't need to have all these dangerous meltdowns or whatever. Which, you know, don't really happen in a nuclear reactor if you know, watch it and control it properly. It's only if you're silly with it, like, you know, don't understand nuclear stuff like C-scale. You forget to put a light on the dashboard that tells you that the coolant's being vented, like 3 Mile Island, or you just do silly things and you aren't informed about problems with the reactor, like Chernobyl. So let's put our flag down. Kerbal version of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. There we go. Unlocked. And fly back. And then we'll just pick up a load of science from the surface. Probably should get a decent amount of science from here. And then it's the long voyage to Eeloo. Let's just go all the way to the top rather than grabbing that. Whoop. There we go. And yeah, let's throttle up. Oh, no, we science first. No, yeah, science. We need science. We can't use them because they're for atmosphere, so it's interesting. And what else is there? We've got some nice temperature gauges. We can do our materials bay, and we can do goo. That's nice, 200. Come on, let's do the goo. You observe the goo. I'm always really disappointed by the goo messages because like there are messages in pretty much every other thing has, you know, a few different messages, like a little bit of variety. Let's take off now. Do our space near that I missed. Oh, that's going north. We need to go not north. Yeah, but the goo is nearly always you observe the goo. I mean, there's a couple near Kerbin, but the goo is very disappointing in its messages. I'm feeling let down by our goo. So let's put our apoaps about 100, 110, and there we go, even out, and then we're going to be doing a transfer straight to Eeloo, which is going to be interesting because it's very elliptical and very inclined. So there we go, we managed to get an encounter. I'm not sure about Kerbal Alarm Clock if it actually does take into account the elliptical orbits. So I don't know if this is a perfect transfer, but then again, it doesn't really matter all that much because we have so very much fuel. I think we've still got 85% of our fuel, and we've been to 2 planets and a moon already. That's just to, you know, show you how ridiculous these fusion drives can be. Admittedly, I have built a ridiculous craft for it. The only real problem we've had, of course, was the uranium tetrafluoride, which we had to send a reprocessing craft for. Let's do our correction burn. And done. There we go. Now I'm debating whether we should turn the reactors off or not. I'm verging on not bothering turning the reactors off, but I think we probably should. Like, we wouldn't need to. We've probably got another year worth of fuel. But might as well. Now, the idea was that we could leave this in orbit afterwards, by the way, when we got back to Kerbin, and we could then attach different things to it. So under the front command and sciencey section, there's basically a giant docking port. However, because it can't really go very far, well, it can't go for ages without a reprocessing lab, and we don't have a reprocessing lab attached to it, and the only way to attach it would be very unstable and not particularly great because the docking ports were set up for small things, not a large 3.75 meter reprocessing lab. I'm gonna say probably need to land it or, you know, just ignore it. So let's turn all the reactors back on. And they will burn. Now you notice that I could be doing, you know, really conservative burns at really like low thrusts, low throttles, which gives us a low thrust but high specific impulse. But because we have so much fuel left, I don't really care anymore. I'm just whacking it all to full. We also have a lot of deuterium and we've got lithium to turn into the tritium. So I'm not even worried about that particularly much. Right now it's really all about just doing the quickest maneuvers. Nice high energy burns. This is actually my first time going to Eeloo. I haven't actually been to Eeloo before, so this is my Eeloo virginity being taken right here. Now this fall towards Eeloo, because Eeloo's got such a low gravity, actually takes 20 days. Wow, that's almost worth turning the reactors off. So let's get some nice science. And bring that down. Now the idea is we want to land on the light side and preferably near the equator, so when we take off... I was about to say the inclination and so on, but actually the inclination is going to be ruined compared to the rest of the planets because Eeloo is so highly inclined. And slow down. We won't wait for Eeloo to get into a decent position to come back to Kerbin. We're just going to do a high energy transfer back to Kerbin. We will ignore all sensibility of making sure we've got a minimal delta V. We're just going to go whack it in and just high energy transfer back. And ooh, that's a very repetitive terrain. I think Squad probably need to have a look at that because that texture's repeating a lot. Wow, I do feel like I'm landing on some sort of tablecloth because of the pattern here. Yeah, that really needs to be changed. Right, so we're coming down. Just trying to minimise our horizontal speed as ever, but it looks like we're going to be landing on something that's pretty flat. And we have... almost touchdown, almost touchdown. Here we go. This is one small step for Kerbals, one giant leap for Kerbal kind. And... touchdown! Ooh, boing. Oh, it is a slope. I think it's a very shallow slope, so we should be... yeah, we're fine. Also, we got such a low horizontal speed and, you know, vertical speed when we landed that, you know, that's basically absolutely fine. Right, so let's... ooh, 375. For a material study, that's really good. More observing goos. What is that? Temperature. 120 for temperature. 750 for a seismic? What? No. Wow, that is a lot of science. Eeloo, I love you. Eeloo, you are amazing. Right, what else? What have we not used? Because this is our last stop before going back to Kerbin. I'm trying to think if there's anything we haven't used. I don't think there is. So let's... I think it's an EVA, yeah. Let's get Jeb out. Grab a sample, grab an EVA report, grab a... whatever else he wants to do, you know, take a leak. Probably not a good idea considering it's a vacuum, but... whatever. And we'll just take a little jump. Look at that gravity. It's very moon-like. 450, that is really good. Bloody hell. Right, let's plant our flag. And because the sun's directly above us, I think, we can't really see the flag, but oh well. Slow motion mission, Eeloo. And we came, we saw, we got rather chilly. There we go. And let's ignore the ladder. That is, of course, the problem with long ladders, is that ladders don't really interact very nicely with each other. Sometimes you have problems changing between ladders, and rather than trying to play around and trying to get up several times, we're just going to try and EVA. Oops, apparently we hit something there, but That was odd. Anyway, let's just go straight up and get in. Ooh, ooh, maybe a bit far. Can we? There we go. And in. And I think that's everything. We just need to take off and then go straight back to Kerbin. I think we'll set up an orbit because it'll be easiest for me to play around the maneuver node from an orbit. I just use the pitch and roll controls here. And whack that on. And yeah, that's strange. The lights flashed over Eeloo. There we go. The lights are doing it again. Yeah, the B9 lights have this habit of illuminating the entire planet when you're in orbit and you're in a map mode. It's very weird. But there we go. I don't know why that happens. It's odd. Anyway, now we've got a very elliptical orbit, but I don't really care because we're not doing an exact science transfer to Kerbin. We are doing a high energy one, and we don't really care. If we were trying to do it according to, like, you know, best estimates and so on, or whatever, by models of when it's lowest delta V to do it, then fair enough, but we're not. And then actually it's only going to take us 1.5 kilometers delta V to get back to Kerbin this way, so we may be close to a optimal transfer anyway. Looking at it, we probably are. Even though we've just passed it or something. So yeah, we're going to just transfer back, do a little burn here to get it, correction burn. And we're probably just going to go an aero break at Kerbin and then drop our science off. Now we could just try and just crash the atmosphere and land the entire thing, but I kind of want to land the two different parts separately. I probably won't even bother going and doing the main body landing. We'll probably just do the science section landing, and we'll leave it at that, because we can land the other body later. Or we can leave it in orbit for anything, you know, short range and useful. So there is our Eeloo. Beautiful, isn't it? Now we're just going to turn off all the reactors, and now it was spinning around a lot, so I just changed back to it and told its SAS to, you know, just kill rot, because I didn't want it flying around and Jeb trying to fly around in it, and then it knocking Jeb out, and weird things happening. And while we're here, we might as well do all the parachutes, so that when we get back to Kerbin, we can actually land the thing with the parachutes, because once we take off the science section, there will be no one inside it. It will be going down under remote core guidance. So turn them on, turn them on, turn them on, and by turn them on I mean repack chute. And but it's strange, you're repacking the chute. So last time we used it was Juno, so we've been dragging empty chutes around with us for a very long time. Admittedly not dragging because there's no drag, because there's no air to be dragged, but actually what went on takeoff from Juno there was, so that was interesting. Oh, we're spinning around. Whee! And we've only got a couple left now to do. And then we'll be, you know, I was about to say home free. We will soon be home free, that is indeed true. And I think... yeah, so I did do a couple of tests before we actually launched this thing, and it can land on Kerbin. I think it had to be semi-powered, like only ever so slightly, to be certain. So I felt comfortable with its landing, but I think it could probably do it even without being a semi-powered landing. So let's just do these last few, and... back in we go. Now we just got to do our burns. Not our burns, we're going straight for Kerbin. We don't actually need to do our burns. Normally I'm used to doing a correction burn at ascending node, but since we were so close to Eeloo, and it would take ages for us to get to ascending node, and we'd have to turn the reactors on and turn them off, I just did the correction burn at Eeloo straight away. Not my usual plan, but then again, I couldn't be asked getting out to do the correction burn, so... Now, I was tempted to try and actually, you know, do the calculation for how to meet the next planet. Not at an optimum point, but it's a very long equation and needs many parameters, so it's not really worth putting in, and also way too complicated. And, you know, it's just really not worth it, so we might as well just do it with the maneuver nodes. So bringing our periaps around, we're just going to try and hit the atmosphere at, I think it's about 27 kilometers, and that should give us an orbit. Of course, not something you really want to do with deadly reentry. This would probably make you burn up and die, especially at the fact we're going to be hitting the atmosphere about 6.5 kilometers per second, which is very fast. Yeah. Here we go. Beautiful. Yeah, I'm so glad I don't have deadly reentry when I'm doing this, because that's very hard. That looks very hard. Hopefully we won't hit the ground while I'm, you know, not watching the HUD, because it looks pretty, but that would certainly be anticlimactic. I guess we could always pop the chutes, but at this speed we'd probably just rip everything up. Also, I kind of want to be able to choose a landing site for landing, which is why we're not going straight down as well. We're going to try and... There we go. Oh, we're going up again. Yay, it was successful. Yeah, I wanted to be able to choose a landing site because I don't want to have to land in an awkward position. Maybe we'll land at the Kerbal Space Center if it's in the light, which I don't think it is. Okay, yeah, the Kerbal Space Center is in the dark side of the planet. We could still land there, but honestly, yeah, you wouldn't be able to see it very easily, so I'm just going to go over landing on the light side, find a little bit of grassland, and we'll land there. So right, just going back to orbit. That's not a bad orbit, we've just got to make sure the periapsis is now pushed up a little bit, so that we can get a stable orbit. And we'll just do it here, just, you know, firing downwards. It's not optimal, but it'll do. And we're still in the atmosphere. The mountains do look pretty from this sort of flight path. We still can't put out our... There we go, we can put out our heat dispensers. So I'm not sure exactly what altitude they'll break off at, but I'm pretty sure that I don't want them to break off and then overheat and die before I get all the science back, because I would be very pissed off, because we probably have many thousands of science. So let's warp forwards, and there we go, detach the science module. Now we're going to be aiming for that, basically that flag you can see there in the grasslands, and we're just going to bring the periaps down. Now I'm not sure how much our landing site will be moved backwards by air resistance, so I'm just going to bring the periaps down until it just touches the surface. Now the engines we're using aren't strong enough to really be able to do anything other than change our site to a landing zone. Not be able to change the landing zone once we're in atmosphere, because they are very small engines. They're basically the tiny little side engines that you get that are really designed for maybe the tiniest of probe cores and very tiny movements with it. You can see our thrust ratio is 0.05. And I'm just going to set the... Oop, that's upside down. It's heading 180. Not roll. No. Set land that way. We could be going in nose first, but the nose is heavier than the rest of the craft, and I kind of want the nose going on the back so that when we hit the ground, we don't nose into it and damage the vessel. So when we land, if we still get any horizontal velocity, it'll be pulling the nose up away from the ground rather than digging it in. Now we're in atmosphere, 50 kilometers up, and going over some mountain ranges. It looks very pretty from this height. I do like it. Hopefully we won't land in a lake, because I'm not sure if this thing is designed to land in lakes. Actually, I know this thing isn't designed to land in lakes. It probably could manage it, but I just don't want to risk it, because the bouncing and the force of the bouncing up and down can end up ripping off like some of the components, especially things on the side like the gravity detector and the magnetometer, the magnetometer and the seismometer, which have our most science. They've got like hundreds per use, so our landing zone's coming back a lot. I'm just hoping it doesn't go into the mountains, because that would be bad. And pop the parachutes. I think we're going to be fine here. I'm going to land between these two little ranges, just beyond the main body of the mountains. And our speed... Oh, come on, let's get below 100, get below 100. Oh, there we go. We were acceptable just. And I'm going to try... Can we pull the nose up? We're trying, but I think that'll be fine. We are going to be hitting the ground at about 7 meters per second, which is a little bit high. Oh, we haven't used that. Oh, 140? Maybe it is worth making a plane that can fly and just fly around the world and grab a load of science. Huh. We'll have to do that. Yeah, so let's land this thing. Yeah, the engines do nothing. Just checking. And hopefully... Oh, that was fine. That worked. Huh. Oh, we'll grab that as well then. Why not? I think that means we can, yeah, we can recover the vessel and get all that beautiful science. Recover vessel. Jeb, Bob, I know you've been away a long time, but it was very nice of you. And you kind of... Wow! That's a lot of science. Almost 8,000. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. We did go to 3 planets, including Eeloo, which probably is one of the hardest planets. Maybe the hardest planet, because we did get ridiculous amounts of science for Eeloo. Bloody hell. Let's go spend this. Hopefully this will finish off the tech tree. Okay, right. So, obviously, we are going to be grabbing... No, we want the antimatter power, because antimatter power is awesome. And what? That's 10,000 science to unlock. Basically the warp drive. Well, I guess we'll just buy everything else then. I was hoping this mission would finish off the tech tree. We'll grab that. Ooh, this has got some good parts, though. Ooh, I like this. Yeah, anyway, God damn it. Okay, we want the warp drive. So I think there's going to be one final episode where I'm just going to speed it up hilariously. And we'll just go get all the science we've missed and get the 10,000 that, like, will get us this part. And then we can, you know, end Kerbal Origins once we finish the tech tree. But we do need that warp drive. It's going to be amazing. But yeah, at least we've got the antimatter power. And I think that also upgrades all the existing parts like plasma thrusters and so on to be awesome. So that will be really good. And we can actually use, you know, plasma thrusters, which I've been looking forward to. But yeah, we'll end it there. I've been EnterElysium and stay shiny.